The Galactic Council sent a message across the stars. It was short, cold, and final. Earth, you have 1 day to surrender. If you refuse, we will destroy your planet. Billions of alien eyes across the galaxy waited for Earth's reply. They expected fear. They expected panic. They expected a trembling voice begging for mercy. But what came back was something no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. The president of Earth appeared on the broadcast. She stood straight, calm, and without a hint of fear. For a long moment, she said nothing, lips curved upward into a slow, deliberate smile. Not the smile of someone pretending to be brave, not the smile of someone insane. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting for this exact moment. Across the galaxy, the reaction was confusion. Some alien leaders whispered that the humans had lost their minds. Others thought it was an empty bluff. But in the war rooms of the Galactic Council, the mood changed. That smile carried a strange weight. Something about it felt Earth. There was no chaos. No desperate crowds running through the streets. No armies rushing to build defenses. The people went to work, drank coffee, laughed in cafes, and played with their children in the parks. It was as if war was nothing more than bad weather. Alien spies, hiding among them, sent urgent reports back to their governments. They are not afraid. I don't understand it. They should be terrified. High above the planet in orbit, a single human ship detached from the defense fleet. It was not large. It was not heavily armed. It did not move like a warship preparing for battle. Silently, it turned away from Earth and accelerated into deep space. No one on the Galactic Council's side could explain it. Why send one small ship away when war was coming? Inside the Galactic Fleet's command chambers, a heated argument began. Some wanted to attack immediately before the humans could prepare. Others demanded caution. If the humans were acting so calm, maybe they had something hidden. Maybe that one ship was going to call for help. But from where? Humanity had no known allies in the galaxy. The lone human ship flew beyond the outer. Planets past the reach of most alien scanners. Its pilot, a silent figure in a dark flight suit, tapped a series of old commands into the console. The commands were not in the common galactic language. They were older, much older. And somewhere, in the cold darkness ahead, something heard them. In the middle of the void, far from any star, a shape began to appear. At first, it was only a shadow against the darkness. Then faint lights began to glow along its surface. The human ship approached, and the lights grew brighter, as if waking from a long sleep. The structure was vast, older than Earth's oldest. Cities covered in markings no alien historian had ever recorded. The human ship slowed, and a docking port opened in the ancient structure with a low, rumbling sound. Back on Earth, the president was meeting with her advisors. A few of them looked nervous, but she remained calm. She spoke softly, but her voice carried through the room. They think this is their war. They think they chose the time. They're wrong. We've been ready since the day they first noticed. Us. The advisors nodded, but one asked the question on everyone's mind. And if the council attacks before the signal is answered? The president's smile returned. Then we answer in our own way. Across the galaxy, alien news channels replayed the image of her smiling face over and over. Commentators debated what it meant. Was it arrogance? Is it a trap? One retired general of the Zorith Empire gave a warning on live broadcast. I have fought many enemies. The ones who smile before a war are the ones you should fear most. The ancient station, the human pilot, stepped into a dark corridor. Dust hung in the air, undisturbed for thousands of years. As they walked forward, the walls began to hum with power. Lights flickered on, one by one, as if the station recognized them. The pilot reached a control room, placed their hand on a smooth black panel, and spoke 3 words in an old Earth language. We are ready. Deep sensors on the Galactic Council's ships picked up something strange. A signal burst from somewhere. Near the edge of the system, strong enough to ripple through subspace, it was unlike anything they had seen. They tried to decode it, but it was impossible. The pattern did not match any known language or encryption, it felt. Older than the galaxy itself. Within hours, the strange signal reached far-off corners of space. And somewhere out there, in a place no council ship had ever been, something replied. The reply was brief, just a single pulse of energy, but it shook the sensors of every listening ship. The council's analysts could not explain it, but they all agreed on one thing. Whatever answered the humans was big in the council chamber. The highest-ranking commanders gathered in secret. They should not be able to call for help. One said, "They have no allies." Another shook their head. That was not an ally. That was something else. The debate raged. But far away on Earth, the president stood by her window, watching the stars. She knew the council was moving. Its fleets closer. She knew they would attack soon. And yet her smile never faded, because somewhere out there an old promise was waking up. And when it arrived, the galaxy would finally understand why Earth had been smiling. The clock was ticking toward war. But for humanity, the countdown had already begun, long before the council declared it. They had not been caught off guard. No. They had been waiting, and now, the wait was over. The Galactic Council's fleets were already on the move. From every corner of their controlled space, warships gathered, their hulls gleaming with the light of distant stars. The plan was simple. Surround Earth, crush its defenses in a single, overwhelming strike, and force its leaders to kneel. Had worked for dozens of other worlds, but as the fleets advanced, the signal from Earth still haunted the Council's minds. It was unlike anything they had seen in centuries of conquest, a deep, rolling pulse that seemed to pass through the fabric of space itself. Every attempt to decode it had failed. Even the most advanced AI systems only returned the same answer. Unknown origin, unknown purpose. On Earth, there was no sign of panic. Children still went to school. Workers still built skyscrapers. Farmers still harvested their crops. From orbit, alien observers could see traffic flowing normally in every city. There were no military parades, no mass evacuations, no desperate calls for help. It was as if humanity had decided that the Galactic Council simply didn't matter. Inside the main war council of the aliens, the mood was tense. Some demanded an immediate attack to break the human calm before it could turn into something dangerous. Others insisted on waiting, convinced the humans were bluffing and would beg for mercy if the fleets came close enough. Meanwhile, far from Earth, the lone human ship approached its destination, the ancient station hidden deep in the black void. It had no name in galactic records because no alien civilization had ever found it. Humanity had discovered it decades ago, and only a handful of people on the planet even knew it existed as the pilot moved through the massive corridors. The station's systems awakened. Old metal groaned, as if stretching after a long sleep. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Low hum vibrated through the air, deep enough to be felt in the bones, in the control chamber. The pilot placed a small black device into a slot. On the main console, symbols across the station blazed to life, casting long shadows. A deep voice, mechanical yet almost human, spoke in a language forgotten by all but a few. The pilot answered in the same tongue, words rolling off their lips like a prayer. The day has come. We open the seed. Back in the galactic fleet, alarms rang out. A massive energy surge had erupted from the edge of human space. The readings didn't match any known weapon or engine. One commander shouted over the comms, "It's like the laws of physics are bending in that sector." In the council chamber, the oldest member leaned forward. "Do you fools not see? That signal? It was a key. And now, something ancient has heard it." But the younger commanders ignored the warning. Orders were given. Fleets would arrive at Earth within days. They would not stop. High above Earth's night sky, satellites turned toward deep space, tracking the impossible readings. On the ground, the president stood on a balcony gazing up. Somewhere beyond the stars, an answer to humanity's hidden call was moving closer. And when it arrived, the war the council thought they were starting would no longer be theirs to control. The galaxy was about to learn what humans meant when they smiled, The galactic fleet broke into smaller strike groups as it approached the Sol system. Their commanders believed this would confuse Earth's defenses, making it harder for the humans to protect their planet. From the bridge windows of alien warships, Earth was still a distant blue dot, quiet and peaceful, spinning slowly under the light of its yellow sun, inside the fleet's lead ship. Admiral Vetheran studied a holographic map of the system. "They have a small defense fleet," he said, his voice calm but certain. "Enough to make some trouble, but nothing compared to us. Once we crush their outer ships, the planet will fall in ours." What the Admiral didn't know was that humanity wasn't planning to fight him head-on. In a sealed command bunker under the mountains of South America, Earth's military leaders gathered around a massive table. A projection of the alien fleet hovered above it, every ship marked and tracked in real time. The President's voice was steady. "We will not fire first. Let them come closer. Every hour they move in, the seed grows stronger. It far beyond." The reach of the alien sensors, the ancient station, was alive with activity. Machines that hadn't moved in 10,000 years spun into motion. Towers of metal shifted into new shapes, and deep inside the heart of the station, something began to grow, not metal, not flesh, but a strange shimmering mass, almost like liquid light. The pilot who had activated the station stood before it, helmet under their arm. Their expression was unreadable.
"Al?"
"They'll be here soon," they said quietly. "When they arrive, it will be too late for them to turn back." Back in the alien fleet, ships began to report strange sensor glitches. Readings shifted wildly. Distances seemed wrong, and in some sectors, space itself appeared slightly bent. Technicians blamed faulty equipment, but in the Council's private chamber, the oldest member shook his head. "I've seen this before. In the old wars, there were weapons that could change reality itself. If the humans have found one..." He didn't finish the sentence. On Earth's surface, life continued, as if the war didn't exist. But behind closed doors, small teams were working without rest. Scientists in hidden laboratories monitored the growing anomaly at the station, running calculations in whispered voices. One of them turned pale as the numbers appeared on his screen. "If this continues," he said, "the seed will reach full bloom before they fire a single shot." The President visited the command room one last time before the alien fleet's arrival. She stood in silence, watching the holographic projection of their enemies inch closer. "They believe we are prey," she said. "Soon they will understand. They are walking into the jaws of something far older than humanity." In the darkness of deep space, the seed pulsed like a heartbeat. Something, or someone, was answering the human's call. And every pulse made the stars around it seem just a little less steady, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The countdown to contact had begun. The alien fleet finally entered the outer edge of the Sol system. Hundreds of warships glided through the darkness, their engines glowing like distant suns. Commanders expected to see human ships rushing to meet them, desperate to defend their home. But Earth's defense fleet stayed close to the planet, silent and still, as if waiting for an invitation. Admiral Vetheran watched from the bridge of his flagship, his many eyes narrowing. "Why aren't they moving?" he muttered. His second-in-command offered a guess. "Perhaps they hope to make us waste energy chasing them," but Vetheran wasn't convinced. Something about the stillness felt wrong. From the surface of the moon, hidden inside a bunker, carved deep into the rock, a group of human officers observed the alien formation. Their leader, Commander Hale, sent a short message to Earth. "They're in position. Tell her, we're ready." On the other side of the system, the ancient station was no longer silent. The seed, now the size of a small moon, floated. At the center of its chamber, spinning slowly, it cast no shadow, no light, yet it was visible to the naked eye. It was like looking at a hole in reality, a place where space folded in on itself. The human pilot stood at the console, hand hovering over a final control. Back on the alien flagship, Vetheran opened a secure channel to the Earth President. Her face appeared on his screen, calm as ever. "You have one last chance to surrender," he said. "Refuse, and you will watch your world burn." Her reply came with that same slow, unnerving smile. "You'll see it when it's too late." Vetheran cut the channel and gave the order. The first wave of ships advanced toward Earth, and then it happened. Alien gunners locked onto human ships and fired. Brilliant beams of energy and clouds of missiles tore through the void and vanished. Not exploded, not deflected, simply gone. The targeting systems screamed in confusion, reporting no contact, no impact. Before the aliens could react, one of their own ships blinked out of existence. No explosion, no debris, no signal. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Then another, and another. Panic spread through the fleet. "We're under attack!" someone shouted over the comms. But no enemy weapons had fired. Far away, inside the ancient station, the seed pulsed. Each time it did, another alien ship vanished. Commander Hale's voice came through the secure line to Earth. "Bloom phase has begun." Vetheron stared at the shrinking fleet. "Where are they going?" he demanded. No one had the answer. But on Earth, the president did. She whispered to her advisors, "They're going exactly where we want them." The Black Archive was open, and it was hungry. The alien fleet was in chaos. Entire strike groups were vanishing without a single shot fired against them. Officers shouted over one another, trying to make sense of it. Some believed the humans had found a way to teleport ships. Others whispered a more frightening thought, that the missing ships weren't anywhere anymore. Admiral Vetheron's comms exploded with urgent reports. "Sector 4 is gone. No debris, no life signs. It's as if they never existed." Another voice cut in. "We're losing formation. They're picking us off at random." But it wasn't random. From the control room of the ancient station, the human pilot moved with cold precision. Each gesture on the console caused the seed to pulse, and with each pulse, another alien vessel blinked away into nothingness. There was no sound in space, but on the sensors, it was like the fleet was being erased from a painting, whole strokes gone in an instant, far inside the Black Archive. The truth became clear to the captured crews. They awoke in a place that wasn't space, wasn't a planet, wasn't anything they could recognize. Skyles's void stretched forever, lit only by a dim, colorless haze. Their ships sat intact, but nothing around them moved. Time itself felt strange here, slow and heavy. A human officer appeared on a projected screen inside each captured vessel. His tone was calm, almost polite. "You are now guests of the Black Archive. You will remain here until the war is over, or forever. That choice is not yours to make." Some prisoners shouted threats. Others demanded to know what was happening, but the human ignored them. "No harm will come to you here," he continued. "You will be fed. You will be safe. You will not escape." Then the screens went dark, leaving only the silence. Back in real space, the Council's remaining ships tried to retreat. But each attempt to turn away from Earth only brought them closer to the pull of the seed. The space around them bent subtly, folding and twisting, until escape routes simply didn't exist anymore. On Earth's surface, military commanders watched the fleet's numbers dwindle. "They're finished," one general said quietly. But the president shook her head. "Not yet. The message hasn't been delivered." She knew that every vanished ship was still out there, somewhere, waiting in the archive. She knew that when the Council realized what had truly happened to their soldiers, it would change everything. The seed pulsed again, brighter now. And in the alien flagship, Admiral Vetheron felt the pull. His ship's lights flickered, his crew froze in terror. And for the first time in his long career, he understood fear. The humans weren't destroying the fleet, they were taking it. And no one knew where the taken ships were going, except Earth. Inside the Black Archive, time had no meaning. Alien crews trapped there couldn't tell if minutes or years had passed. The place was utterly silent, except for the low hum that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. A threatening sound, but it carried weight, the kind of sound that made you feel watched. Some prisoners tried to explore. They found no walls, no horizon, no edge to the space. The haze simply went on forever, and no matter how far they walked, they always ended up back near their ships. It was as if the archive itself didn't allow them to leave sight of the vessels they arrived in. Then the human officer's voice returned. Not on a screen this time, but in the air around them. War is a dangerous thing, it said calmly, and dangerous things must be contained. The voice was neither mocking nor cruel. It was simply certain. One Zorith captain shouted back, "Release us. We are soldiers, not prisoners of war." The voice replied without hesitation, "You are both." Back in real space, the seed continued its silent work. Every few moments, another alien ship vanished, pulled into the archive without a single explosion or scream. The Galactic Council's command center was in uproar. Leaders demanded answers, but their science divisions could only repeat the same conclusion. This is not a weapon in any sense we understand. It is a door, and it only opens one way. Inside the ancient station, the human pilot received a message from Earth. The president's voice came through clear and steady. "Phase 2 is complete. Prepare the veil," the pilot acknowledged. With a single nod, then began inputting the next sequence of commands. From the alien fleet's perspective, the battlefield began to twist. Stars seemed to drift in the wrong direction. Distances no longer made sense. Ships that should have been close were suddenly light minutes away, while others found themselves impossibly near. Communication signals warped, cutting out mid-sentence. "Admiral." Vetheran gripped the railing of his flagship's command deck. "Losing navigation, get us out of here." But his helm officers shook their heads in panic. "There is no out, Admiral. Every course leads us back toward the humans." On Earth, the president stood in the command center, watching the alien fleet's image flicker. "They think the archive is the weapon," she said softly to her advisors. "It's not. It's just the holding pen." Her eyes turned to Ward. "The deep space feed of the seed. The real weapon hasn't even arrived yet. And somewhere far beyond the edge of known space." Something heard her. Something began to move, far beyond the reach of any known star, in a region of space the Galactic Council had marked as void and lifeless. A disturbance began. Space rippled, folding in on itself like cloth caught in a storm. From within the folds, a shape emerged, not a ship in the traditional sense, but something far larger, older, and stranger. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal constantly, shifting as if it could not decide what form to take. The seed had called, and it had answered. Inside the ancient station, the human pilot watched the readings spike off the charts. The station's AI spoke in that same deep mechanical tone it had used when the seed first awoke. "Guardian protocol, restored." Primary anchor arriving, the pilot took a slow breath. Let's hope they remember the deal. Back in the black archive, the alien prisoners suddenly felt it. A tremor in the endless haze, a deep pressure that seemed to press against their very thoughts. They could not see what was coming, but every instinct screamed at something unimaginably powerful had just entered the game. In the council chamber, the oldest member's voice shook for the first time in decades. "No, they couldn't have. That thing was destroyed before our empires even rose." The younger commanders demanded an explanation, but the elder only whispered, "It is not a weapon. It is the jailer of worlds. It's over Earth, the alien." Fleet's remaining ships struggled to keep formation. Space around them seemed unstable now, bending toward a point far outside the system. Then, with no warning, a shadow passed across every sensor. The Guardian had arrived. It did not travel through space the way normal ships did. One moment it was distant, the next it loomed impossibly close, as if the universe itself had skipped a frame. Even the human defense fleet stayed motionless. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Admiral Vetheran stared at the thing filling his view screen. "What? What is that?" No one on his bridge could answer. The president's voice reached him through a secure channel. "That, Admiral, is why we smiled." The Guardian's presence alone began to change the battlefield. Energy weapons. Powered down without firing. Missiles lost all momentum mid-flight. Ships drifted as if caught in invisible currents. And then the Guardian looked at the alien fleet not with eyes, but with a weight in the air. A focus that made every living being on those ships feel like insects under a magnifying glass, one by one. The remaining ships began to vanish, not into the archive this time, but into the Guardian's hold, a place no human or alien had ever returned from. Earth had played its hidden card. The galaxy had declared war, but the war was no longer in their hands. The Guardian hung in the void, vast and silent, as the last of the alien fleet dissolved into its shimmering surface. No explosions, no wreckage, just a slow erasure, as if the galaxy itself had decided these ships no longer belonged in reality. Inside, the Black Archive, the alien prisoners, felt the tremor again, but this time it passed through them like a final judgment. Many fell to their knees, overcome by an instinct older than their civilizations. The Guardian was not just a machine, it was a presence, a will on Earth. The President watched the final blips disappear from the holographic map around her military. Officers exhaled in relief, but she remained still. "Open the channel," she said. A broadcast went out to every listening world in the galaxy. Her face appeared, calm as ever, her voice steady. "The war is over. We will not pursue you. Know this, if you come for Earth again, the Guardian will remember your name." In the council chamber, silence reigned. The younger leaders shifted uncomfortably, but none dared speak. The oldest member closed his eyes, realizing what this moment meant. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted forever, and it was no longer in their favor. Back in deep space, the Guardian began to move away from Earth. It did not travel like a ship. It simply vanished between one heartbeat and the next, leaving behind only the faint pulse of the seed, still orbiting the ancient station. The humans had not deactivated it. The door remained open. Inside the archive, the human officer returned. To address the prisoners, "When your people agree to peace, you will be released. Until then, you remain here. You will be safe, but you will not return to the war." His voice softened slightly. "We never wanted this, but we will not hesitate to do it again." The prisoners said nothing. Some turned away in shame, others in fear. All understood that Earth was no longer just another young world in the galaxy. It was a power that could not be challenged without, risking total erasure. On Earth, night fell. The cities glowed softly under the stars, unaware of how close they had come to destruction. In the command center, the President stood alone by the window, watching the sky. Her smile returned, slow and deliberate, the same one she had worn at the start. The galaxy had declared war, and Earth had answered in silence.